Hey there, welcome to another edition of 4th and 4. This week we're going to talk about 4 players who underperformed in week 1 that I think bounced back in week 2 and will live up to their draft value for the rest of the year moving forward. So let's go ahead and start. Let's start with Austin Ekeler. Austin Ekeler was featured in one of the very early 4th and 4s in the preseason, and I'm still high on him. I was high on him then, but in week 1 he had only 9.2 points and only 1 reception. He ranked as the 32nd best running back in week 1 in half-point PPR. I'm a little worried about their offense moving forward. It's pretty conservative with Tyrod Taylor, but I'm not worried about the 20 touches that he got. That is great. 20 touches is very encouraging. Last year, he didn't have a single game with 19 carries. That's how many he got in week 1, and he only had 2 games with 20 touches or more last year. So his workload is huge, which is what we wanted, what we expected when we drafted him in the second round. David Johnson just last week had 18 fantasy points against his Chiefs defense. And that was only on 14 touches. Kansas City ranked as a bottom 6 defense against running backs last year. I think he bounces back nicely this week. He averaged 15 points per game in 2 games against them last year. I think he'll live up to his expectations when you draft him in the second round. Second, let's go with Cooper Kupp. Another guy I was pretty high on in the preseason. In week 1, he only had 6 points on 4 catches for 40 yards, and that put him as the 60th best wide receiver in week 1. We obviously drafted him pretty early. We got to expect a lot better than that. The Rams ran the ball 40 times, though, in week 1. That's not going to be sustainable. What the heck, Sean McVay? 40 runs? We thought you were the guru. Why are we running it so much? They have to go across the country to play against an Eagles team that is getting back 2 very important pieces to their offense. I think the Eagles play better than they did last week. Vegas has this game as a pick'em and an over-under of 46, so they do expect a decent amount of points. There's no chance, like I said, that this offense runs 57% of the time. Kupp scored in 5 of their 8 road games last season. I'm sticking with Kupp. I think he's still wide receiver number 1, and I think 8 catches for 80 yards and a touchdown sounds pretty reasonable for this week. All right, next, if my wife was here, she would like this one. T.Y. Hilton versus Minnesota. In week 1, he had just 7.3 points. He was the 50th ranked wide receiver, or 50th best wide receiver in week 1, and he only had 4 catches for 53 yards, and he also had 2 pretty crucial drops in that game. But what I did like from him from the Colts in week 1 is that they threw the ball 46 times. If they're going to throw the ball 46 times or even 40 plus a game, T.Y. is going to have a good year. The Vikings got absolutely destroyed by my Packers last week. They allowed the most points to wide receivers of all the teams last week. They have a very young secondary, and it apparently is not a very good one, or it's just not good right now, but that's good for T.Y. Hilton. The Colts will probably be playing either from behind or it'll be a very close game. As you can see in my pick or my K&M's money making picks, I picked the Vikings to win this game, so I think the Colts will be playing from behind. That means they'll be throwing it, and I think T.Y. Hilton him and Phillip Rivers' experience, they'll take advantage of this bad secondary, and I think T.Y. has a big game. And lastly, I'm going to go with Dak Prescott. You guys probably aren't worrying about him, but he had a pretty bad week 1. He's still a top 5, top 6 quarterback moving forward. He had only 17.64 points, and that ranked him as the 18th best quarterback in week 1. While the Rams were dominating running the ball, they're also dominating the time of possession due to those 40 runs. I don't think that's the game script that's going to happen here against Atlanta. Atlanta likes to throw the ball. They like high up-tempo games. The over-under is 54 in this game, so Vegas obviously thinks there's a lot of points going to be scored. The Rams secondary at the Cowboys played last week is a lot better than the Falcons secondary. The Cowboys are loaded at wide receiver with Amari Cooper, Gallup, Lamb, and even Zeke got involved in the passing game last week. I think this is a big game for Dak Prescott. He's a top 5 quarterback this week and moving forward, and there's no need to panic. See you next week.